Hi and welcome along to the Invincible podcast, brought to you today by Who Knows Wins, the brilliant app with my man Lee. Yeah, I know, because that's the energy at the the energy is not great. Obviously, the North London derby, Arsenal losing by 3-0. And Lee, you were there, and we were in the studio. We had like a big load of us in the studio, and we're going to talk about it. First of all, as usual, we've got our predictions going on, right? In Who Knows Wins. Who won last week?
I did. You know I did as well. Like, you know what I mean? You're out of order.
You did.
It's the only thing I've won this week.
It's the only thing, yeah, you know what I mean? Celebrate that hard, right?
Yeah.
But the Who Knows Wins picks today, they got the FA Cup final in it.
Oh, of course, yes, the FA Cup
Cup final, right? Who have you gone for?
Liverpool.
I've actually gone for a Chelsea win.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, right? I just think that Chelsea, they need this so bad. I remember the last cup final they played well. No Fabinho for Liverpool. I don't know. I just thought I'd go against the grain. Tottenham versus Burnley. What do you go for?
I want to win.
But what did you go for?
I went for Tottenham win.
Oh, come on, man. You didn't back it, man. I mean, I went for a draw. I've already put it through. I wanted to check. So
basically, you're saying that you're hoping it's a draw, but you think they're going to win.
Do you know what? All these Tottenham fans, right? They think they're celebrating like they're already in the Champions League. But remember, after, I think it was a few weeks ago, when Arsenal, we lost 3 on the bounce, and then they won a couple, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they had that game against Brighton, and they lost. Then they played Brentford, and they should have lost that. You never know with this one. Sunday, 12 o'clock kickoff.
Well, they've got
the expectations of them to win. Burnley have got a lot to fight for in it. Burnley, up until the last game, they lost their last game, but they have to win. It's been sort of, I think it's starting to look between them and Leeds, who's going to go down. They've got to get something out of it, Burnley. They've had all week. They're going to be fresher than Tottenham, who played the North London derby. You never know. Don't be surprised in that one. Don't be surprised in that. Villa Palace, I went Villa. Leeds Brighton, I've gone for Brighton. I think Leeds are going down.
Oh,
Watford Leicester, I've gone for Leicester.
Yeah.
Watford have been shocking at home. West Ham Man City. Man City a machine.
Oh, surprise.
Man City are a machine, gone for Man City. Wolves Norwich, got to be Wolves. Norwich have lost their last 5 on the bounce. Everton versus Brentford, I've gone for Everton at home. And I want Everton to win because we want it so that if we do get a result going into that last game, it's not all on that for them against us. Milan, Atalanta, I've gone Milan. They could win the title. Atletico versus Sevilla, I've gone for Atletico, right? So those are my selections. Lee's made his. Download the app. Deposit £5. You've got a chance of winning £10,000, right? And if you're an Arsenal fan, that could soften the blow of what happened in the North London derby, right? So Who Knows Wins. The link is in the description. Lee, it all went wrong in the North London derby. We had a lot of hope going into the game. We knew that Arsenal, if they won the game, that's it. The Champions League would be over. Draw the game, we'd be in the driving seat. Lose the game, we still in the driving seat, but the momentum shifts to them. And the way in which they won it, beating us 3-0. Arsenal's, well, the same old problems that we've had this season have really held us back in discipline. And again, now the advantage, even though we've got that point over them, thank God we got that point over them, the advantage is with them, isn't it?
It is as far as the momentum's concerned, but at the end of it, they're still relying on other teams. We're not.
Well, they're relying on us.
Well, they're
relying on us messing up, innit? Yeah.
Like they've all, all the Spurs fans yesterday were all, taking the mickey out of me on the train, talking in Geordie language. So that's how desperate that's so. Like, I ain't got to do that. You know what I mean? I've got to rely on my team to win 2 games, and if my team win the 2 games, that's it. It's done. But there is a but on that, like I've said it a couple of times now. 10 games, the last 10 games, 5 wins, 5 defeats, not good enough. There's too much inconsistency at Arsenal, has been for a long time. And this is my problem with Mikel when people go, oh, why don't you celebrate Mikel getting a contract and all that? Because there's these little things going on in my mind, you know. We are a little bit inconsistent still under him. I think that he's doing a good job.
I think. Yeah,
but,
sorry.
Yeah, no, I think he's doing a good job, but I don't think it's like where everybody should be celebrating it and all that, like, you know, because I think if we don't win these next 2 games, and I think he'd be under pressure going into next season. But if he does win these 2 games, then you've got to give it to him, like, you know. But these now are 2 massive games, and this is where he's got to show his mettle.
Yeah,
got to show his mettle.
Let's first of all talk about the game, right? I thought Arsenal started off really well. We were moving the ball around, we were popping it, we were a threat. You could see Tottenham were a little bit rattled. You know, their crowd wasn't as loud because they were kind of taken aback by the good football that Arsenal was playing. And then it all changed. All changed on the penalty. What was your view of it? You were there. You was in that side as well where the penalty happened.
Yeah. So,
what did you make of it?
Well, when it went across, I didn't think there was nothing really in it, and so just thought he just, like, you know, shepherd him out, which is what you normally do. And then I see the referee going to point to the spot. Now, when you're in the stadium, you don't. That's all you get to see. You don't see nothing else. When I straight away you're looking at the groups and WhatsApps and mates messaging and all that, everybody's saying it was soft, you know. Even Tottenham fans are saying it was soft and not a penalty. Even though whether it's a penalty or not, you do not capitulate like we did after that. We were still in the game, and that's where my disappointment lies, you know what I mean? Yes, it's a setback, but you've got to be able to handle setbacks every now and then. Whether you think it's a penalty or not, it's a setback. But we got rattled from it, then we get sending off. So for me, you know, disappointing. And when I've looked back at it, I thought, well, because I was coming in today, I think the best thing to do was watch the game again last night, and I did. It's not a penalty. I've seen him. We've just been showing. Ryan just showed us the one against Liverpool, which Klopp was moaning about him, like, you know, he's 10 times more of a penalty than that, and he doesn't give that. You know, so it's inconsistency.
Honestly, we've been saying it all season, not just Arsenal fans, football fans in general. Been talking about the referees in this league. They are poor. Another example of it for me last night. When that penalty was given, we was in the studio. There's about 20 of us watching it here in the studio, right? Everybody was in shock. Like, what? What's that for? There was no mass appeals from the Tottenham players. Son, who goes down very easily, he was very smart, felt a little, slight little nudge, went down. It's never a penalty. It's the softest penalty you're going to see, right? It's a North London derby. We know North London derbies. We know every derby is a physical affair, right? The referee for me there gets involved in a situation that he didn't need to get involved. Put it this way, would VAR have said to him, hey, you know what? I think you need to look at that. You know what I mean? No. And then they got this thing where VAR will never reverse a decision like that.
Yeah, because
they'll say, it's not clear and obvious. What's clear and obvious to me is that the referees in this country are crap.
Yeah.
I watched John Moss the other night.
Embarrassing.
I don't know if you saw him in the Villa Liverpool game. One of the worst performances of a referee I've ever seen. Thank God he's retiring. He was dreadful, right? Mike Dean, he's retiring as well. I think there's no coincidence some of these guys are calling it a day, because I think even themselves, they're realising that, you know what, we're not good enough. But this guy Tierney's one of the new batch, and he's awful. I've seen him in quite a few games, and he's terrible. And that decision last night, whilst we're not going to say that's the reason we've lost the game, right? That was a poor decision in a North London derby. And I know, I can see why Mikel Arteta was saying, I don't want to say anything because I'll be, I'll be suspended if I say what I really want to say. And I don't blame him. That was a really bad decision. But then, as you said, I think is like almost like players like Rob Holding is almost like the injustice of it got to them. And instead of just getting his head down and saying, right, let's just, he just, I don't know what he was on. He all game he was fouling Son, right? He like every time Son was trying to get away from him, he was grabbing him.
Yeah.
The referee had already warned him. This is where, on this one, I'm not going to blame the referee. It was a red card. It's stupid by Rob Holding. You're part of the leadership group. And it's very harsh for me to have a go at him because he's played well over the last few games. But again, that thing that has dogged Arsenal this season, indiscipline, giving away penalties, even though it was very soft, getting sent off in big games.
Yeah.
Again, we do it. Again, we lose the game.
I know the penalty's soft, and also the sending off when he stands his ground or.
Yeah, but he sort of leaves a little elbow in there.
Yeah. But they were both unnecessary.
Yeah,
the ball's going over. Son's never going to get it for the holding one. He's not going to get the header neither. There's no need to do it. Even if he does get the header, he's not going to score because it's gone past the post. It'd been an incredible header.
It's a bit of panic again from Cedric, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do think that Holding got rattled by Son.
Totally. He's a member of the leadership group. He should be the one. He's a very experienced player, Arnley. He's not.
So he's
Ayling. He's not a kid, is he?
So he's Ayling at Liverpool. But when you rattle someone, sometimes you make rash decisions.
Ayling at Leeds, you mean?
Yeah, at Leeds, yeah. You make rash decisions because you're getting that's what happened there. I just think you have to say that Holding's played well the last couple of games, but he's not coming up against a Kane and a Song. They are, whether you like it or not, they are a different grade to what a lot of other teams have got in the league.
But he did play against Chelsea. He did play against, not
as good as him too.
You're up against two, but still, you're an experienced player.
He was a little bit dodgy.
I just felt Holding. He was too tight on Son.
Yeah, he
was trying to be tight. He was way too tight on him, and he just kept making.
I'd love to ask him what possessed you to do that. What was your reason for doing that? Was it because
I think
you
maybe
got elbowed earlier
that's
on?
what I think. And then again, now going back to the inconsistencies of the referee, right? Again, that's a blatant elbow by Son.
Yeah, well, this is what I say about referees. It is a blatant elbow, and that's at 0-0, and it's a sending off. Now, that's what VAR is there for. Why have they not got involved and said, "Look, can you go and have a look at that"?
I think it's because Son's a likeable player. I really do. I think if that's another, I think if that's I don't know, maybe Højbjerg, right? But Son is the lovable guy.
What does Son do that Holding doesn't do? I'll tell you what he don't learn. When he rolls around for the makes it more obvious than what it is. When he gets, you're telling me he was hurt from that elbow because it didn't look like it to me. Not a mark on him, but he rolls around holding his face and all that. Like extravagance makes it more telling. Holding when he gets elbowed doesn't do anything. When you get elbowed, that's naivety. When you get elbowed like that, hold your face and then So
you're telling him to cheat as well?
No, it's not cheating, is it? It's not cheating. I think it's like, I'm a centre half. He's elbowed me. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna stand my ground and make it look. It's just a little bit of naivety, like Song was bashed yesterday, not as bad as what he's made out, by the way. There's a little bit of him running into him as well, you know what I mean, if making it worse. But ultimately, he's made sure that he gets sent off.
Yeah.
Holding didn't do that.
He should have done that. He should
have made sure that VAR looked at that incident. And he didn't.
Yeah.
That's my point, you know what I mean?
And now he's out for the Newcastle game, which is another problem again. So, he's out for that game. And then, after that, it was all Tottenham. We had a little rally sort of later on in the game when they kind of took their foot off the gas. But 3-0 and a pretty humiliating defeat in the end. But even with that humiliating defeat, we've still got a chance of getting top four.
Yeah, and I can't remember. Can you remember the last time Spurs done that to us? I can't remember a big score. I can't. We've done it to them on a few occasions, but that's the first. I can't remember the last time they beat us quite convincingly like that, and that is a worry going into the game. Again, we'll go back to Mikel. He does love a record. You know what I mean? We've been smashed at Tottenham now. You know what I mean? Circumstances I don't blame him for that, by the way, you know what I mean? But it's under his I felt that when you went 1-0 down, you know, that's where you've got to have your manager just telling you, you know, calm down, do this, do that, like, you know. It wasn't there. We was erratic in that game, you know. I didn't think we was in control of it. As soon as they scored, the momentum of the game was incredible, the turnaround and shift of it all. And I don't think that, you know, Arsenal should not be in that position.
But a lot of that was down, I just feel a lot of that's down to Rob Holding getting sent off 10 men.
Well,
you know, we didn't get done at a set piece. Right, you know what I mean, man down. Where he's one of the main guys. So actually, it looked almost identical to the goal we conceded against Leeds. Little flick on, and we don't pick up the guy at the back post, which is Harry Kane, Eddie Nketiah, and he just went to sleep. And then after that, you know what I mean, you know, so
why is Eddie marking Harry Kane? That's a question.
Yeah, that's true. But then, you know, again, it's down to Rob Holding being sent off because all of a sudden now the organisation.
Who's the most dangerous player in their team?
Harry Kane.
So who would you put on him?
I don't know who I'd put on him.
Well, you put your best defender.
You put a defender on him, but
not Eddie. I'm not blaming Eddie by this because he's a fool. He does switch off. I've seen it.
No, but how can you switch off? Regardless of who's marking Harry Kane. You're marking Harry Kane. How can you switch off?
Well,
how can you be not aware? How can you not be aware that he's behind you? You know what I mean?
He's not a defender, is he?
Yeah, but forwards work on drills as well from set pieces. Otherwise, why are you back there? So that was poor. You know, they're a little bit unfortunate with the third one, I thought, because Gabriel did pretty well, but just sort of played it into the path of Son. But I just felt that it all changed on the two big things, which was number one, the penalty. Right, Arsenal, I felt the players were almost like they felt very hard done by, but they should have got over it quicker. And then Rob Holding stupid sending off.
Yeah.
And I feel that we could have been looking at a different game had that penalty not been given. But it's a capitulation. It's 3-0. It's a bad defeat. And I think when I'm looking at Arsenal at the moment, I mean, I looked at that team last night and again after the game, I found it very difficult to really criticise apart from the Holding thing, because I'm looking at that team, I'm like, it's so threadbare at the moment. I don't think we realise because they've actually, those players that have come in, I said, have come in and they've done a good job, including Holding. Up until last night, have been coming in and they've done a very good job. But when you're going into a game like that at Tottenham, you need all your heavy hitters, man, and we're just missing too many of them. You know, Tierney, I think if you've got Tierney, Tomiyasu in there, and it's Tomiyasu dealing with Son, I think we could have seen a different, you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah, Ben White being out.
Ben White missing, you know, what was it? Tierney missing, Ben White missing, no Thomas Partey, you know. It's just too many players, I think, that are missing.
Yeah, I think all from our back four as well. Like, you know, we've not had that same. We haven't, and this is the problem going into the Newcastle game for me, is we haven't kept a clean sheet for I don't know how long. And the reason is because we've not got Tierney. If Tierney's was available, Tomiyasu weren't available. We've not had Ben White. Now we're going to lose Gabriel. You know, the back four. If you have a look at Tottenham's back four, they actually lost from Romero yesterday, but they brought in one more. But they've had a steady back four. Really, see that Tottenham have had no injuries for
injuries. So basically, apart from Romero being out yesterday, that's their best 11.
Doherty's been injured, but other than that, they've had the same team going.
And they've had that for the majority of the season. Where literally with Arsenal, when you look at it since Christmas in particular, they've had injury after injury, and that team's been threadbare. And basically, I've said this before: if we do get top four, we'd have to hand a big hand to those players that have actually come in. Because, you know, there's been so many and key players missing, especially in this running.
They've stepped
losing
up.
Tierney and losing Partey have been big, you know what I mean? And the players that have come in have stepped up and they've done well. But was it one too far for Rob Holding last night?
Yeah, well, that's what I was just about to say. Like, you know, I mean, these squad players, they can come in for 1 or 2, 3 games and do a good job. But now you're looking at Cedric. I'm not having a go at Cedric when I say this, but he's now on 10, 11 games.
Yeah.
It shows.
Yeah.
It shows, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you go, that's why he's a backup player. There's a reason why Cedric, Rob Holding are backup players. And the reasons are what you see last night.
Yeah.
Silly little mistakes that come in there.
Yeah.
Because what happens is good players unsettle them. And that's what's happened. You know what I mean? Rob Holding was unsettled yesterday. Cedric was unsettled. You know, I'm not being off. That was the Leeds game. He wouldn't be. The reason that he's trying to give Song a nudge there because it's Song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's why he's done it.
He's
like,
worried about him.
He's worried about him. So you have to give Tottenham credit for what they've got. Tottenham yesterday, I'm going to say this. There's a few players there that I don't rate in their team. Stepped up to the plate. I thought Højbjerg played really well in midfield. Like, you know, got the grips with it. The two up front, you know, I hate them for a reason. The reason is that they're good.
They are good. They're very good.
Like, you know, so you have to say that at the end of it, Spurs done really well. I'll tell you what though, you know what I mean? I wouldn't, you know, like Conte yesterday, you know, trying to be the big one after the game, criticising Mikel, like, you know. I'll tell you that, like, I'd rather take advice from someone like Klopp or Pep instead of someone that's, you know, like been banned for match fixing and things like that. So I don't really give a monkey.
The thing is about him, right? He's there saying, he's moaning. He's there having a go at Arteta for moaning about the decisions, right? And he's there saying, he moans too much. And then today I hear that he's moaning, Conte, about the fact that their game is the first game on Sunday at 12 o'clock. So they got the least turnaround time. So you're having a go at someone moaning, then you're moaning. And then this guy's been moaning after season.
There will be a time when they get a dodgy penalty against them and they end up losing the game. And I want him to come out and see what he says.
But he's been moaning all season. He's been moaning about players. Every time, you know, when they've lost games, it's never him. It's been the players.
The only thing he don't moan about is his wig. It's quite a decent wig. I'll give him that. Like, it's got a decent wig. So well done, Conor. You've got a decent wig, so you don't moan about that. You don't go moan too much to the hairdressers, do you? You know what I mean? But other than that, I don't care what he's got to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I listen to what Klopp's got to say. I listen to what Pep's got to say. But ultimately, you know what I mean? You know, he's been done for match fixing, and he's saying about moaning and all that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, get off. You know, he knows. Listen, at the end of the day, he knows that he's had a little touch yesterday with certain things. But ultimately, he's done well to get them in that position. But when you look at it, see, people can be critical of Mikel and they can be like, you know, Conte is a better manager and all that. That first 20 minutes up to that sending off, the penalty, Arsenal had them rattled.
Yeah, playing good football.
Conte had no answer for it. When they scored, Tottenham, you know, took over the game. Forget about saying they had Harry Kane had a chance just after a great tackle from Tommy Asu, by the way, like, you know. But they're confident. The game shifted. It was always on that first goal, and to lose that first goal like we did, any manager would be disappointed with that. Any manager, you know what I mean. I try, like, you know, if there's a minute to go in the game against Burnley and that penalty goes in there, I'm pretty sure Conte's not going to come in and go, the referee got that exactly
if he loses to a penality like that on Sunday,
he's not going to be happy with that.
Yeah,
like, you know
I mean,
it'd be lovely if they do, because I'd like to see what his reaction would be.
Yeah,
but he's human.
Yeah, you said it, Lee. I think in your video you said that after the game, when you've been interviewed outside the stadium, I think you said that they won the battle, but we can still win the war. I
think Cecil said that.
Or somebody said that, yeah.
Cecil said
so basically, like, despite the disappointment, despite what's happened, it's still in Arsenal's hands.
Yeah, exactly.
There's 2 games to go for both teams. Their last 2, you look on it, they look more favourable. They've got Burnley at home, and then they go away to Norwich, which is, I think everyone thinks that's a guaranteed 3 points. Norwich, they've lost about their last 5 games. They're down, they're out. You wouldn't expect them to lose that game. Burnley, a little bit more trickier, I guess. You'd expect them to win it. Burnley, they've been on a decent little run, but they lost their last game at home to Villa. You know, you'd expect Tottenham now with the momentum they've got to win that game. But we've seen Tottenham in this season, even recently, in situations where they're in command of the top 4 position, and then the week after that they went and lost to Brighton, right? And then they went and drew with Brentford. right? They let us back in, actually. So it's not a foregone conclusion that they'll win, both of their last 2 games. But you'd say if you're putting money on it, you're putting money on their recent form, the last couple games, that they win those 2 games. Arsenal have 2 games left, right? Newcastle away. Newcastle are safe. They haven't really got much to play for, but I think that could be their last home game. Everybody always wants to end their last home game in style. They've got some good players, Bruno Guimaraes, St. Maximan, Callum Wilson's back, Chris Wood. They don't really have many injuries at the moment. Joe Linton's been playing well in midfield. That's going to be a tough game away at Newcastle, but we've been away to Newcastle. I remember famously going away to Newcastle and claiming top 4.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah, 1-0.
Right? So we got that, and then the last game of the season, Everton at home. I think we lost to them last year at home, but we got a good record against Everton normally at home. Everton fighting for their lives, but could be safe by the time they get to that game. So that could change the dynamic of that. But certainly, when you look at the last 2 games that Arsenal have got, they are games that we can win, but it's the Newcastle one, isn't it? I think in particular, you can only look at them one at a time. The Newcastle one is absolutely vital that we win that and take it to the last day.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with my mate coming up here today, and we was talking, and he said, look, going to Newcastle is not like going to Chelsea. So Chelsea's a tougher ask. But the thing was the Chelsea game, I look back on that Chelsea game, it was like pressure was off. We weren't expected to get.
Ooh, I don't know if it was off.
I felt like everybody didn't think we was going to get top 4. And we was not favourites for top 4 then, and we just went there and was a bit more free flowing. Since then, we've got back into the favourite mode. We've been a little bit tentative, like we haven't really flowed. So maybe a little bit, I think Tottenham will be in front of us now, So maybe we just got to go there and just go, right, we know what we've got to do, and just go and do it, Yeah. And that's how I see it now, Listen, it's going to be a tough game, but I've always said that, this was a game that I wanted to win, of course, but I have said that I think that we'll win at Newcastle and we'll win at Everton,
You think we'll do it?
Yeah, I do.
The problem is as well, what sort of team are we going to have at Newcastle? Because we now know no Rob Holding, right? Gabriel came off. He looked to be holding the back of his.
So he's Tommy Asu.
I'm hoping that's not a hamstring. You said that you saw him after the game walking.
Yeah, he wasn't limping or anything.
All right, so could it be cramp or something? I don't know. We ain't gonna know. They probably won't assess that until near. But he's a doubt. Ben White, I think that was very sensible by Mikel Arteta last night not to bring him on because he. I know there were people saying get him on, but he realised that Holding's out. That's if we go and play him and he breaks down, we're in big trouble for Monday, right? So he kept him back, I thought, very sensibly. So, we could be looking at a back 4 in that game of Tomiyasu and Ben White as centre halves, because Tomiyasu has played.
Yeah, he's a centre.
He's played centre half many a times before in Italy, in Italian football before he came here. Cedric on the right, Nuno Tavares on the left.
So what?
Nuno Tavares up against St. Maximan.
He done all right when he come on yesterday.
He did all right when he came on, but like you said earlier, these guys, they can do all right for little moments.
Yeah. Well,
but it's worrying, right? And then a midfield will be Xhaka, El Neni, Odegaard, and then up front, the same 3, I guess, right? So... But we're going to be weakened. We could be weakened at the back. Hopefully Gabriel's fit, but I think we've got to approach that game. That is a cup. I know we use that scenario. We throw it out there so many times, but we've got to really all out.
Well, we know what we've got to do now, Rob. Yesterday was a funny situation for us, because we did, win is a disaster because it's against them, but it's not the end of the world. A draw would have been a good result for us. But ultimately... listen, I'm going to say this now, I think Mikel's got a little bit of stick for this Ben White situation, right? Now, Ben White's not trained. Now, I'm pretty sure that he was put on the bench with, if there was 5 minutes to go in that game and we was winning, get him on, because if he did break down, it didn't matter the next 2 games. But these next 2 games are always going to be important if things didn't go our way. So he's not trained. So I think at the end of the day, he was on there for a specific reason. If we was winning with 5 minutes to go, we might chuck him on. And if he did break down, it didn't matter, did it? Because we would have been through. So when you're 1-0 down, 2-0 down, when it was 2-0 down, the game's over, Rob. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was the right thing to do.
Me too.
You know, don't play him. You know what I mean? Gets 2 days of training under his belt now, and then be ready for Monday. I don't see why. I do think there is a bit of an agenda. Sometimes people just want to jump on the bandwagon of Mikel and have a go at him and things like that. I don't understand.
No, it was a very
times.
sensible thing by
I thought it was the right thing to have done. You know what I mean? I don't. You know, people are criticising him. I don't think what. When people say like Mikel and all that, like they're having a go at him yesterday and all that, like, you know, like what could he have done different yesterday? He played exactly the team that I thought he wanted to play. If Ben White was fit, by the way, 100% fit, he plays. We know that.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. So I didn't see any with that team selection. I'm not looking at that game and thinking, why is Xhaka playing left back and he got no one in midfield? I think he done everything that he could. I think that the only thing that criticism I've got of Arsenal and him and the team yesterday is that when we went 1-0 down and 2-0 down, I didn't see a desire to say, right, we ain't having it. Do you know, like, at times I think we let them dictate us a little bit, you know, putting a few tackles in them and, like, you know, I didn't think...
Yeah, when we did, we got sent off.
Yeah, I know, yeah, but, you know, more sensibly and all that, like, do you know, I just think that...
I think, Lee, is what we're seeing here, and then this is why I'm not going to go on Arteta too much, right, is that we have to remember the last 4 games in particular, it's been a threadbare team. Players have had to come in, squad players, and step up. Players have surprised us.
Yeah,
let's be real, right? They've surprised us in the way they've stepped up. What is showing us, though, is that in the summer, we need to add some real quality to this squad. So that if this was a similar situation next year, that we're chasing top 4 or we're chasing, you know, say we were, you know, where we'd love to be, where we were sort of, you know, putting a little thing on the league. You need quality. You need, you know, these guys, your Rob Holdings and El Nenis and guys, you know, Eddies, they can come in and they've given their all, they've done brilliantly, right? But it's where you need, when you're playing against a team like Tottenham, it's where you need that extra bit of quality. It's where you need your Partey in that game. You need your Kieran Tierney. So what we need to add to this squad is quality now. That's what I want to see Arsenal do, right? They need to start adding some quality players because a season is a long time.
Yeah.
You can have a decent, you know, a really good starting 11, but how many teams, unless you're really lucky, and Tottenham are a bit lucky at the moment, even though they lost Romero yesterday, they've been at literally the whole season, Son, Kane, those guys, the main hitters have been fit, right? But you can, you know, you need a good squad. So if you look at City at the moment, they've got Diaz is out and Walker's out, and, you know, I mean, they're missing some key guys, but they got the backup that comes in. There's hardly any drop off. You see, you know, Liverpool, they're going to be missing Fabinho. They've been very fortunate most of the season with injuries, but, you know, Fabinho's injured now. Henderson can come in.
Yeah.
You know, there's not much of a drop-off. With us, it's quite a big drop-off. And as I said, once again, caveat, these guys that are coming have done well. But I still feel that it's where we're seeing he's the tools that he's got to work with to try and mastermind a win against Tottenham is not enough.
Yeah.
Is not enough.
This is where I like to listen to. You know, this is where the fan cams and you know, this is the great thing about it, like, because you listen to what fans are saying. Listen to what Chris had to say yesterday. He was sort of saying a bit like that. You know, if we get to the Champions League, we haven't got a good enough squad to get to it, like, you know. And then you hear people like Gary Neville saying, well, I'm putting my money on Tottenham, right, to win the league. Right, well how much are you putting on then, Gary? I'd like to know how much money, how much you're willing to put on to that, to make that sure. Just stupid little statements like that, you know what I mean? Robbie Keane turning around and saying yesterday, I think that Everton's a tough game, as well as Newcastle, but Burnley's not. You know what I mean? Like, just ridiculous.
Arrogant, isn't it?
It's ridiculous things, you know what I mean? So when you get what fans have got to say, and that's why I like to listen to what fans have to say, because there's no agendas with a fan. Do you know what I mean?
Says it as it is.
It says it how it is, you know what I mean? So when Chris said what he said yesterday, I thought it was quite, you know, are we ready for Champions League? I mean, yes, you know, and I get what he's saying, the squad is not. You know, in the summer, we you know, this squad really isn't ready for Europa League, let alone because you can see it's breaking down with no European football. So we're going to need to invest heavily on whatever we look to do.
You know, and you think like the you know, even now, you know, there's guys like Pablo Mari that went on loan. You know what I mean? We lost Callum Chambers. We could do them now, but then, you know, when I was having this discussion with someone yesterday, and they're like, well, why did we let Pablo Mari go? And I go, well, he wouldn't have played, would he? He wouldn't have played up until probably because we had no European football. Again, these are decisions, tough decisions that have to be made, but he wouldn't have played. He would just basically would have sat there. So the thing is about it is that if we can get Champions League, and this is why it's so important for Arsenal, it can be a game changer for this team, because then you can add quality. If you bring in a Tielemans, that's quality to the midfield. It means that, you know, certain players don't have to play every game. And if he comes in, it's top quality. If Tielemans plays instead of Odegaard, there's no drop-off. If Odegaard plays, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, up front, you know, add a couple killers up front. So that in those really tight games, if you buy yourself a top quality striker, in those really tight games where you're not even at your best, you nick it. Well, that's what Tottenham have got in Son and Kane. There's been games where they ain't even been all that, but those two can turn the game in your favour. Well, so these are the sort of things that Arsenal need, and that is why it's so important to get into the Champions League. But we are playing, and have been playing since most of if you track the injuries and you can add suspensions to that as well. If you track that for most of this year, since the start of January, we've been playing with a very threadbare team.
100% we have, and you look at it from an attacking point of view. We've not had that many injuries in the front. Like Pepe's hardly ever had a game, you know, and there is that thing we're not strong enough defensively. There has been mistakes. I'd say mistakes been made because, for instance, we'd have kept Chambers. When would he have played in the last 10 games? Yeah. Wouldn't have done. And then you're going to say, all right, you're going to have to bring him in now for these next 2 games and expect it like a real thing. So I get what Mikel's trying to do there. Now, Tommy Asu's played central defence before, so he's looked at it and said, right, if I get 2 central defenders out injured, I can bring Tommy out. The chances are, though, I'm not going to get 2 injuries in there. But yes, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a bit of a gamble.
And it's a bit of a gamble. And I don't care what anybody says, you know, if Harry Kane and Song have got injured for a long terms, the replacements coming in are not as good.
Well, listen, you take Harry Kane and Son out of Tottenham's team, they're mid-table.
Yeah,
I'm being serious.
They're an ordinary team.
Actually, if you speak to Tottenham fans, they tell you the same thing. Without them two, they'd be mid-table. That's how good they are. So that's what I'm saying with Arsenal. Number one, if Mikel Arteta negotiates it and gets us into the top 4, even though we've lost way too many games this season, but if he gets us into the top 4, I think he's done brilliantly this season with that squad to get us into the top 4. But they got to give this guy now a chance to succeed. Give him better quality, because we have not got enough quality in that team, and that's why we come a cropper against these big teams and these better teams, because we don't have enough quality. And like you said, you know what I mean, we're relying on players to play out of their skin. Yeah. So give him the quality in, but that's reliant, I think, on the Champions League.
And this is a great point somebody said yesterday at the game. And it is a great point. would it be a disaster if we went into the Europa League, right? And this is what he said. He goes, because we got a better chance of winning that and getting into the Champions League than going into the Champions League.
Said that before, we got lost in the final.
But this is going. But the reason we're all so desperate for it is because we're up against Spurs.
No, I think it's better to get into the Champions League, right? Champions League enables you to buy better players. Champions League puts you back in the spotlight. Champions League lifts your club, right? I think the Europa League, right, is, all right, people will look on it and say, well, look at this year, Rangers and Frankfurt are in there, right? But it's a real... It's a minefield of a that Europa League is not always the easiest thing to win, because you don't know who's going to drop out of the Champions League.
Yeah. Well, we had that with that Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, we had it. Atletico Madrid. Chelsea dropped out into the Champions League. But you know what I mean? So you don't know. This year, fortunately, some of the teams that dropped out, like RB Leipzig and things, you know what I mean?
They weren't
but if you get one of them, couple of them big uns dropping out. So I'm saying get in it now, because I feel that that's the trigger to bring in a lot more quality, because Mikel Arteta can go to the Cronkies and say, listen, we'll get murdered with this team in the Champions League, right? So I need this, I need this, I need this, and I need this, right? So that's, for me, why it's vital. And we're still got the chance to do it. We've got to go for it. Prediction for Monday. I'm not even looking ahead after Monday. Monday's the big one. Monday's the cup final.
My worry. If I'll be honest, my worry is that it's going to be a tight game, but we can't keep a clean sheet. So we've got to score 2 goals. I can't see us scoring 2 goals. So I think we've got to try and, I think it'd be a tight, tense game, and it'd be 1-0.
Yeah. My worry is the pressure. My worry is what squad are we going to put out? My worry is the pressure now. Is the pressure, we've handled some, there's been a few times this season when we've been under serious pressure and we've handled it. We've bounced back and handled it well. Will it be a bridge too far is what worries me a bit.
Well, it'd be like the same sort of pressure as the West Ham game, because Tottenham won that the day before, put the pressure on, and it was a tricky sort of a game. That's what the sort of game it's going to be.
This one's even more intense pressure now, because the doubts have come back after...
I don't know. I honestly don't think the doubts are too much because of the way it was. You know what I mean? I think if we'd have lost that 3-0 with 10 men instead of losing it with 12 men for them and 10 for us, because the referee played a great part in it. But no, ultimately, I think if we'd have gone there and lost 3-0 with 11, that might have knocked the confidence a little bit. I don't think I think.
So you think you can look on it and say, well,
I think just got
you look at it and say unjust penalty, 10 men. Listen, it happens, but this time we're going to go, and with 11 men, we're dealing with it.
Yeah, that's how I see it. You know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, if we, how can I put this? If we are going to go on and be successful under Mikel, I think he goes there and chests out, go and get the job done, and go, look, all right, so you beat us. You know what I mean? But we've got the main prize, and I think that's important that we do that.
Yeah, it'd be glorious if we did that. I mean, how I look on it is this is what Mikel Arteta. There's been quite a few times this guy's been doubted, and he's bounced back. He's bounced back,
when
he first came in, when we had that FA Cup, and people saw City in the semis, Chelsea in the final, forget that.
See you later.
He did it. This season, after 3 games doubted, he did it. Lost 3 games again, to Palace, to Southampton. Who was the other team? I can't remember now. Brighton. Right? Everyone wrote us off again. Bounce back. Do it again, Mikel. 2 more games to go. And win these 2 games, it's Champions League. Then that result, the Tottenham result, means nothing.
And up until the penalty, I was liking what I was seeing with the Arsenal side. So that's what I'm going to take into it. I think in the first 20 minutes, I think we done everything we wanted to do. We stifled the crowd. We played some good football. Martinelli was causing all sorts of problems down the left flank. So, if Trippier plays, he ain't played for ages. I think it's a big risk for them to chuck him in and play. but by all means do it if you want to go up against Martinelli. I think that we go there, do what we've done, and it's going to be a little bit uneasy at the back. But listen, what's the best form of defence? Attack. Attack them.
All right. So you going for a win?
Oh well. Yeah, we ain't got no bloody choice, have we? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've got to win. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I've always said the 4 points were key, because if we did lose this game, we've still got the opportunity of doing it. Whatever Tottenham do, right? Whatever they do, they have got to rely on us losing or drawing. That's it. Like, you know what I mean? If we win if Tottenham win their 2 games, right, and we win our 2 games, that's it. I don't care if we win our 2 games. I don't care if they win their 2 games or not. It's done. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's still in our hands. We've still got the opportunity to nail it, and I think Arsenal will.
All right. Love that, Lee. Love your confidence. I'll be at the game on Monday. Can't wait for it. I wish it was tomorrow, because I don't know if my nerves are going to be hold out, and that'd be a long old drive all the way back home if it doesn't. But listen, and Burnley fans, listen, Burnley, we're behind you this weekend, man. Come on, do us a favour ahead of that game. You know what I mean? But you never know. But listen, thanks for listening to the podcast and watching the podcast. Don't forget, you can download it on all your usual formats. Who Knows Wins, the app. If you want to deposit £5 and have a chance to win 10 grand. This week, I really want to adjust my thing where I said that Tottenham will draw to a loss. I really want to adjust that. You know what? Anyone who wins 10 grand, right, and has Tottenham losing in there, and that comes through, right, I'm going to add a little bit extra on top of it. Yeah. Seriously. Well, honestly, anything to will that to happen. But listen, the link is in the description. Who Knows Wins, get involved in that. But thanks, Lee. The next 2 games for Arsenal are massive. The next game for Arsenal is absolutely huge. If Arsenal can win that, it sets it up nicely for a chance to get into the top 4. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.